"It's gone," she whispers, though the relief in her voice is tinged with dread. "But we need to be ready. It might come back." They spend the rest of the night on high alert, taking turns keeping watch. No one sleeps, the fear of another encounter keeping them awake until the first light of dawn filters through the cracks in the boarded-up windows. As the sun rises, the group gathers in the small kitchen, their faces haggard from the sleepless night. The events of the previous night have left them shaken, but they know they can't afford to stay in one place for too long. The farmhouse, though isolated, isn't safe. Sarah takes charge, outlining their next steps. "We need to move further away from the city. The virus is spreading fast, and it's only a matter of time before the infected reaches here. There's a small town about 50 miles from here. It's remote, and there might be supplies we can scavenge." Tom nods in agreement. "We can't stay in one place for too long. We need to stay ahead of the outbreak." Emma, who has been silent, finally speaks up. "What if there are more survivors? People like us who need help." Sarah hesitates. The thought of leaving others behind goes against everything she believes in as a nurse. But she knows they have to prioritize their own survival. "If we come across anyone who needs help, we'll do what we can. But we can't take risks. We have to be smart about this." David, still holding the camcorder, records the discussion. He knows that these decisions will shape their future, and he wants to document every moment, every choice, in the hopes that someday, someone will find their story. They pack up what little they have, making sure to leave nothing behind that could indicate their presence. Before they leave, David sets the camcorder on a nearby shelf, framing the group as they prepare to leave. "Day 2, he says, his voice steady despite the fear that lingers in his eyes. "We made it through the night. Barely. We're heading out again, hoping to find somewhere safe. I don't know what we'll find out there, but we have to keep moving. For now, that's all we can do." With that, he turns off the camera, and the group heads out into the uncertain world, the farmhouse disappearing behind them as they begin their journey into the unknown. The road is long and desolate, with the once bustling highways now eerily empty. Abandoned cars line the roads, some with their doors left open, as if the occupants had fled in a hurry. The silence is oppressive, broken only by the sound of their footsteps and the occasional distant growl that serves as a reminder of the danger that lurks just beyond their sight. After hours of walking, the group finally spots a small town in the distance. It's a welcome sight, the possibility of supplies and shelter giving them a renewed sense of hope. As they approach, they notice that the town appears largely untouched by the chaos that has overtaken the cities. The streets are empty, but there are no signs of panic or destruction. They make their way to a small grocery store, its windows intact and the doors still locked. Tom uses a crowbar to pry open the door, and they cautiously enter, ready for anything. But the store is empty, save for the shelves still stocked with food and supplies. It's a stroke of luck, and they waste no time gathering everything they can carry: canned goods, bottled water, medical supplies. Rachel finds a backpack in the back of the store and fills it with whatever she can find. As they prepare to leave, Emma notices something in the back of the store: a small, dusty television set. She turns it on, and to their surprise, it flickers to life, displaying a news broadcast. The image is grainy, the sound distorted, but they can make out the anchor's voice. "This is a national emergency," the anchor says, his voice strained with exhaustion. "The virus has spread to all major cities. The government is urging all citizens to seek shelter in designated quarantine zones. Do not attempt to travel unless absolutely necessary. The situation is critical. The broadcast cuts off abruptly, leaving the group in stunned silence. The reality of their situation hits them hard. There may be no safe place left. Sarah turns to the group, her expression grim. We need to find a way out of here. This town won't be safe for long. If the virus reaches here, we'll be trapped. David picks up the camcorder, filming the empty streets outside. We'll keep going, he says, more to himself than to the others. We'll find somewhere safe. But even as he says the words, he knows that safety is becoming an increasingly elusive concept. The first few weeks after the outbreak have blurred into a haze of fear, exhaustion, and desperation. What was once a world full of routine and predictability has now transformed into a landscape of uncertainty and danger. Every day is a struggle to survive, every decision a matter of life or death. The group's sense of time has become disjointed, marked not by the passage of days, but by the relentless need to stay alive. Sarah has taken to keeping a rough journal, using whatever scraps of paper she can find. She writes late at night, by the flickering light of a candle, her words a mixture of practical notes and emotional reflections. It's a way to maintain some semblance of order in a world that has spiraled into chaos. We are still here, she writes one night, after a particularly grueling day. I don't know how much longer we can keep this up, but we're still here. Every day is harder than the last. The things we've seen, I try not to think about it too much, but it's impossible to forget. I can't sleep without hearing the screams, seeing their faces. But I have to keep going. For them. For all of us. David, on the other hand, has become increasingly obsessed with his camcorder. What started as a way to document their journey has now become his lifeline, a way to make sense of the madness around him. He films everything. The abandoned towns they pass through, the haunting silence of the once busy highways, the faces of his friends as they struggle to keep their spirits up. But as the days drag on, it becomes clear that survival is more than just a physical challenge. The mental and emotional toll is starting to wear them down. Sarah can see it in the way they speak less and less, in the way they avoid eye contact, in the way they cling to whatever fragments of hope they can find. The group has settled into a grim routine. Each morning, they venture out to scavenge for supplies, searching the deserted towns and cities for anything that might keep them alive. It's a dangerous task, but it's a necessity. Food is scarce, water even scarcer, and every trip into the unknown is a gamble with their lives. Tom takes the lead during these excursions, his natural athleticism and quick reflexes making him the best suited for the job. He's become the group's de facto protector, always at the front, always ready to face whatever danger lies ahead. But even Tom is starting to show signs of wear and tear. His once broad shoulders now slump with exhaustion, his eyes shadowed by sleepless nights. On one such outing, they come across a small grocery store on the edge of a ruined town. The windows are broken, and the shelves inside are mostly bare, but they know they have to take what they can get. Moving silently, they split up to cover more ground, each of them hyper-aware of the danger lurking in every shadow. Rachel and Emma stick together, sifting through the remains of the store's back room. They find a few cans of food, some bottled water, and a box of expired energy bars. It's not much, but it's something. As they work, Rachel glances at Emma, noticing the tightness in her friend's expression. "Hey," Rachel says softly, trying to inject some warmth into her voice. We're doing okay, right? We're going to get through this. Emma nods, but her smile doesn't reach her eyes. Yeah, we'll be fine. But Rachel knows better. The strain is getting to all of them, and it's only a matter of time before something breaks. Meanwhile, in the main area of the store, Sarah and David are filling their bags with whatever they can find. David has his camcorder in hand, documenting the process with a detached, almost clinical focus. Sarah watches him out of the corner of her eye, her concern growing with each passing day. David, she says quietly, you need to focus. We don't have time for this right now. David lowers the camera, his expression unreadable. I am focusing, he says, his voice flat. This is important. People need to see what's happening. Sarah doesn't argue, but she can't shake the feeling that David is slipping away from them, retreating into his own world of lenses and screens. Just as they're about to leave, Tom, who had been keeping watch at the front of the store, hears something, a faint shuffling sound coming from outside. He signals for the others to stay quiet, his heart pounding in his chest. The sound grows louder, closer, until it's right outside the door. The group freezes, listening in tense silence. The sound is unmistakable, the slow, dragging footsteps of the infected. Sarah grips her knife tightly, her knuckles white. They've had close encounters before, but the fear never gets easier to handle. Tom motions for them to move towards the back exit, trying to avoid a confrontation. They move slowly, carefully, every muscle tense with anticipation. But as they reach the back door, it creaks loudly as Tom pushes it open. The sound echoes through the empty store, and suddenly, the shuffling outside turns into a frantic scramble. They burst out the door, running for their lives as the infected come crashing through the front of the store. David films the chaos as they sprint down the alleyway, the creatures hot on their heels. The camcorder shakes in his hand, the footage wild and disjointed, but he doesn't stop recording. Tom leads them through a series of narrow streets, ducking and weaving between abandoned cars and debris. The infected are fast, faster than they've ever seen before, and it's all they can do to stay ahead of them. Sweat pours down their faces, their breath coming in ragged gasps. Finally, they reach the edge of town, where an overgrown field offers some cover. They dive into the tall grass, staying low as the infected pass by, their groans and growls fading into the distance. For a moment, they just lie there, gasping for breath, their hearts racing. When they're sure the danger has passed, they get up and make their way back to their temporary camp. The day's haul is meager, but they're alive, and that's all that matters.